What is happening on the front lines, say, in the Kursk region? They entered this region, and their losses are enormous. In 3 months, the losses are more than the Kyiv regime lost last year, more than 30,000. We have always recognized Ukraine's border as part of our agreements after the collapse of the USSR. But I draw your attention, it means that in the declaration of independence of Ukraine, Russia supported this, it is a neutral state. But then also on that basis we recognized the borders. But later, as you know, the Ukrainian leadership amended the basic law and announced its desire to join the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. And this is not what we agreed. This is first of all. Secondly, we never and nowhere support any coup. We do not support it in Ukraine either. We understand and support the people who did not agree with this coup, and we recognize their right to defend their interests. The Secretary General listened to all this, nodded silently, said, well, yes, well, good, but still you attacked Ukraine. I'm not joking. It's word for word. But there's no rational answer. Where's the mistake in the chain? What did I say wrong? Where did we violate international law and statutes? There are no such violations anywhere. And if we have, then the border of Ukraine should be drawn in accordance with the sovereign decisions of people who live on certain territories, which we call our historical territories. Everything depends on the dynamics of the events that are taking place. If there is no neutrality, it is hard to imagine any good neighborly relations between Russia and Ukraine. Why? Because it means that Ukraine will be constantly used as a tool in foreign hands, and to the detriment of the interests of the Russian Federation. Thus, the basic conditions for the normalization of relations will not be created, and the situation will develop according to an unpredictable scenario. We would very much like to avoid this. On the contrary, we are determined to create the conditions for a long-term settlement and for Ukraine to become an independent sovereign state, rather than being a tool in the hands of third countries and used in their interests. What is happening on the front lines, say, in the Kursk region? They entered this region, and their losses are enormous. In 3 months, the losses are more than the Kyiv regime lost last year, more than 30,000. Well, they have lost fewer tanks now, about 200, and last year they lost about 240. They just have fewer tanks in general, so there are fewer losses here, they use less. And why are they sitting there, suffering such losses? Because the orders from overseas are to hold on at all costs at least until the elections. To show that the efforts of the Democratic Party in the Kyiv direction were not in vain. Now in many directions, in the Kupiansk direction, I do not know whether the military said it or not, there are 2 centers of blockage there. In one, Ukrainian troops are surrounded and pressed against the reservoir. A group of about 10,000 soldiers is blocked. The other is near Kupiansk. There are about 5,000 soldiers. They are trying to put pontoon crossings in order to partially break out at least. But our artillery instantly destroys them. Well, 2 directions in our area of responsibility of the center group of forces. There will probably be a third soon. The Ukrainian military sees everything, but the decision to fight is made at the political level. We are ready for peace talks, but not based on Kyiv's wishes, the name of which changes from month to month, but rather based on Istanbul and today's realities. Only the ceasefire should not be for half an hour and not for half a year so that shells can be brought to them, but to create conditions for the restoration of future cooperative relations in the interests of the 2 peoples, which are undoubtedly fraternal, no matter how much the rhetoric is complicated by today's tragic events in the relationship between Russia and Ukraine.
what the changes in India's population and the differential growth rates.
This city has emerged.
We have a very special guest on the record.
The interview.
The role that the US side played at that point of time.
पूरी दुनिया की नजर.
Assume my phone is tapped, I can probably say hello to Mr. Modi.
आपके भारत पर है.
Episode of Know Your Candidate.
The rising confidence of India under Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Communist China is the greatest threat.
There will come a day that we will see far more radical extremist.
I'm still a little perplexed by why we.
Your daily dose of news from India and across the world. Cutting edge views and analysis. Tune into HT videos. Click on the bell icon to subscribe.